What's up, guys? Paul with Apache Rifle Works here. Do you have the wrong carry gun? Are you carrying what you should be? Stay tuned, and we're going to go over some options for you, as well as is what you currently own right for you. Stay tuned. Okay, so size is going to dictate a lot regarding what concealed carry firearm you choose. Now, the whole saying that carrying a gun should be comforting, not comfortable. Look, technology's changed a significant amount since probably that saying was invented. So with the technology, the holster technology, the belt technology, right? And let's look at our clothes, right? I mean, you look at clothing technology has changed significantly, especially in the firearms industry, where these manufacturers like Vertex and guys like that make particular clothing. If you choose to wear stuff like that, it's going to help make carrying a gun a lot more comfortable. And you pick the right holsters and you pick the right things. Now, you're going to go through some holsters and some selection of those that are probably going to have a drawer full of holsters, but that's the point. You really need to find the things that work for your lifestyle and for the clothing that you're going to wear. Size on a firearm is going to dictate a lot of that. We're going to kind of go through these, and for you safety guys, hey, these are all cleared, right? These are all good to go. We've checked these beforehand. So I've got a couple of different firearms here, and really they kind of represent what I would consider the gamut of firearm sizes throughout the industry that aren't just ridiculously full-sized guns. When we start looking at pistols like the P365 from Sig, the 938 from Sig, these kind of fit in a size category that's going to be what I would consider micro compact, which micro compact has changed a lot. I believe that true micro compact guns like the Ruger LC9 or the Ruger LCP, things like that, those are kind of, in my opinion, they have their place, but they're not really usable in a sense that you can carry them and deploy them with really repeatable accuracy. They are really difficult guns to shoot. When you get into guns that are going to be kind of your subcompact, your micro subcompact, these pistols have kind of formed a new line of handgun, in my opinion, a new type of handgun. And really, like the Hellcat and firearms like that have really taken suit. The Smith & Wesson, the new Smith & Wesson Shield Plus, those guns are kind of basically creating a new category of handgun, which we haven't seen before. This thing holds 10 rounds. That's nuts. No different than, you look at the same size and size comparison, right? These things are almost identical in size, and this holds 6 to 7, depending on how your magazine's configured. So when you're going through and picking a gun that has a particular size, you need to think about how easy it is to conceal. I'm a fan of concealing. We're going to really talk a lot about concealing today. We're not going to talk about open carry. Not a fan of open carry. Not my deal. I really like the element of surprise, that whole gray man kind of concept. And that's really the way that we run here. Obviously, it's shop. We do carry guns outside the waistband because we're working every day. It's a little bit more comfortable, right? But that's because we choose. We want to be more comfortable while we're here at work because we're here every day. So when we go through the gamut, we've got these small guns. We've got what I would consider a mid-sized gun. Look at the Smith & Wesson Shield Easy 380 and the Glock 19X or the 45 in this black configuration. Same exact pistol, except the 19X is 10. So this gun is significantly more difficult to carry. This gun is, not only is it the standard Glock 19 size, which is very popular and very carryable, but it also has a full-size 17 grip. So this is where your pistol is going to be a lot harder to conceal, is going to be the butt of the gun. You look at a gun like this, right? Obviously a significant difference. So when you start selecting a firearm, the first thing you want to determine is, well, I dress a certain way, whether you live in Texas and maybe you wear shorts a lot, or you live in a state that's a little cooler, or you want to wear, jeans or pants a little bit more often. Well, look at your closet, look at your wardrobe, think about what you wear on a daily basis. And if you want to continue to wear the clothes that you're wearing, what gun fits that? This pistol is going to be a lot easier to conceal than this pistol. It's a significant width difference and size difference. It's significant as well. So first thing, what can you carry every day? What is comfortable for you? What makes sense? The second thing is can you shoot it really well? Now, everybody's hand size is a lot different. It also has a lot to do with the knowledge and skill that you're comfortable with, and what you're going to put into training. You know, what level of commitment you're going to have. Shooting a full-size gun, no matter who you are, is a lot easier than shooting a smaller pistol. We have a lot of women that come in the shop, or men who come in the shop with their ladies or their wives, who say, well, I wanted to get a small, cute pistol, right? Well, small, cute pistols are really hard to shoot, and they get harder the smaller that they get. Larger pistols are always intimidating to new gun buyers because of their size. They're actually a lot easier to shoot, a lot easier to operate as well. So first thing, get into a range, and if you can demo some firearms, grab some of the full-size guns and compare them, a few of the smaller guns. That way you can see what the difference is as far as how comfortable you are shooting one or the other. The other thing that you've got to determine is hand size. So I have, I would say, medium-sized hands. I don't have big hands. Bill Goldberg, you got large hands, dude. He makes this thing look like a play toy. It's crazy. So I can really shoot most guns. The Glock 1917 fits me great. I also can shoot these guns pretty well. I can still get most of my hand on this pistol. So hand size is going to have a lot to do with selecting a firearm as well. Very similar to picking your shoes, right? You don't pick shoes that are too big for your feet. Well, the same concept goes for handguns. It needs to, first off, when you hold it, it needs to be comfortable. If while you're holding it, you feel wear spots, things like that, those things are going to get worse as you shoot the gun, as well as you end up carrying it or working with the gun a lot more. You're going to find things that are uncomfortable for you. Or if you're like Bill Goldberg and you have huge hands and your fingers are hanging off like this, well, that gun's going to be significantly more difficult for you to shoot. So you have to pick a gun based on what's comfortable, what fits your hand. And some people have ailments, some people have disabilities in their hands. So you also have to play to your strengths and weaknesses. Don't go into a gun shop if you've got weaknesses and pretend they don't exist. And if you ever go to a gun shop and they give you a bunch of crap about having an ailment, or telling you, well, you have a disability, but you really need to do this, or if you can't pull this slide back, then you probably don't need to own a handgun. Well, you're going to the wrong gun shop. There are firearms for everybody, and it's the gun shop's job to help guide you, or this video, so that you can go in being more knowledgeable and maybe leave there, maybe not with a gun, but at least better knowledge of what you should be choosing. So what we're going to do is go through each of these guns. I'm going to talk about their strong points and weak points, and what you should be looking at in a particular carry gun, and what features matter the most. Most popular gun, one of the most popular guns in the industry right now, is a P365. This happens to be the SAS version with a Streamlight TLR6 on it. Now, this gun's really popular because of its size as well as its magazine capacity. You can put a 12-round mag in this, and it is extremely comfortable, and it gives you a little bit more to hold on to. This gun is carryable every day of the week, 365 days a year. That is why this gun is popular. It doesn't take a huge amount of effort to carry this firearm. Other firearms in this category are going to be the Hellcat series from Springfield, as well as the Shield Plus are going to be my big three. I think they're extremely reliable, they're proven firearms, and they work really well. They're also from well-known companies with good reputations. So, great handgun, great for the size. Capacity on this can be 12 rounds. On a standard Glock 19, you have 15 rounds. I'm willing to take a little bit of a trade-off to carry this and carry it more often than carry a Glock 19 and only have 3 more rounds. Now, the thing to determine too is what level of commitment are you going to have based on actually carrying a gun. If it's going to be too big and you're going to fight carrying it all the time, I promise you're not going to carry it. You're going to end up leaving it at home or leaving it in your vehicle a lot more than actually keeping it on your body like you should. So picking a gun like this and being comfortable with carrying it's going to mean you're going to probably carry it more often, which is what you should be doing, as well as training with it as well. So great size. This is what I recommend for somebody who has a little bit of skill in shooting, who can deal with shooting a smaller gun. The benefit to these guns is that though they're small, they have full-size iron sights for the standard 365. This is a different setup. They have full-size iron sights, and they shoot a lot like a larger frame, either Glock or pistol in general. So that's my huge recommendation, is going to be guns like this are really in my wheelhouse right now. Now, the difference between the 365 and this is going to be hammer based. This is an externally hammer fired gun. This is going to be a striker fired gun. The differences between these guns is that now the striker fired guns do come with safeties. These really require a safety in order to carry them safely. They have a much lighter trigger pull than these because of the way they're designed, and you have to train to this safety. A lot of people think having a safety is a comfort factor, right? Oh, it makes me feel safer. Well, if you don't train to your safety and you're in the range shooting with it and you're not practicing drawing from the holster, taking the safety off, and then firing the firearm, you might pull this thing out to use it in a defensive situation, and you might go, oh my gosh, my gun doesn't work. And in reality, you just didn't take your safety off because you forgot and you don't train enough. That's something to be very conscious of. They're really pretty little pistols. This is a Sig P 938, based loosely, actually a lot on the Colt Mustang design, as well as Springfield has a model, things like that. This is a great all metal frame gun. It's a little heavy, but it feels good in the hand. It's got a little bit of recoil, right? And when you're dealing with small guns like this, you're also going to deal with some recoil. So you need to have some practice with them, or new shooters might struggle a little bit with guns like this, depending on how fast you can pick up shooting a smaller gun. Hammer fire is great because you get a great light trigger pull, but you have to deal with a safety. Remember to train to it. If you don't train to it, you might forget, it might cost you your life, and that's not something you want to deal with, right? But very comfortable. It is very thin. This particular gun, of course, has full-size iron sights, which are great because it's going to point and shoot very similar to a full-size handgun. And they're really sexy. They come in a lot of different colors. It's a great feeling gun. The actions are nice and smooth on them. Downside is going to be capacity. Most of these guns are going to be single stack magazines. You're going to deal with 7 rounds and 8 rounds, most likely, in most models of single action 1911 style micro pistols. So downside is capacity. The capacity for this is going to be a minimum of 10 rounds. Most guns in this category are going to be 10 to 13, which is a great magazine capacity for something this size. That's why they're popular. Striker fired guns are also only going to have, you're going to cock the firearm, and everything's going to work inside based on a striker fired system and a trigger pull. This does not have a manual safety on it. This is my safety, sir. Black Hawk Down reference, great movie. So make sure, booger hook off the bang switch. Don't touch this unless you plan on shooting it. Also, carry a good holster. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, next getting into a little bit of a unusual firearm, but I think the most unique offering in the industry. And we're actually going to talk about this particular model. This is the Smith & Wesson Shield Easy 380. They make a 9mm version of this gun. Now you're going to notice some things that are a little different on it. It's going to have a grip safety on the back of it. This is an internally hammer fired gun, which means the hammer is not external, it's internal, but it works off a similar principle as the 1911 style handguns. What's really great about this gun is the reason why it was designed. This slide, if you've never pulled one back, it is just crazy easy to operate. And that's what makes the gun so unique. People with an extreme amount of arthritis and issues with their hands find this gun extremely comfortable to operate. That brings us to the next point. You have to be able to operate the firearm other than just in a range setting. If you show up and you go to pull this gun, the slide back, and you can't pull that slide back or you struggle with it, A, maybe work on your technique. B, if your technique's good but you just don't have the hand strength, that's okay. Remember, play to your weaknesses. If you pretend they don't exist, they're going to land you with buying a gun that you can't operate, which is going to be completely useless. So when you buy a gun like this, this is going to give you a huge advantage because of how easy it is to operate. A lot of ladies love this gun because A, it's not extremely small. Remember, bigger guns are easier to shoot. It just fits your hand great. It's not overly small, but it's not going to be overly large either. When you look at a Glock 19, it's going to be similar in slide length, but thickness is going to be a lot thinner, and grip length is going to be a little bit shorter. Now, this is going to be a 17 style grip. It's going to be closer to a 19 style grip. But again, the thickness of the firearm is going to be very beneficial to this. Now, this is what I would consider bridging the gap between full size and mid size. I really don't consider this gun a compact firearm. It is but these guns have really changed that category significantly. This is right, excuse me, it's going to be right in the middle of kind of like, I'd say, probably subcompact and compact. It's right there. I would consider the compact standard the Glock 19. So this gun is easy to operate. You have a manual, you have a grip safety, which is great for people who want to have that feature on their guns. If it makes you more comfortable, remember to train to it. If you forget to grip this gun with a solid grip, it's not going to go off. This will prevent the trigger from going bang. It's got a loaded chamber indicator, a lot of features for a first-time shooter that will make them not only a little bit more knowledgeable, but it's going to be there are going to be a lot of safety features so that you can learn on this gun and graduate to other firearms if you so choose. Huge recommendation from us. This is a really reliable gun, and it's been really good. It doesn't have the greatest trigger pull. It's a carry gun, and it's really good at what it does. So, Smith & Wesson Shield Easy. Now, getting into a mid-size to full-size gun. This is really popular in the industry. It's really with the age group of guys like me, younger guys in this industry want to carry decked out Glock 19s. Sometimes the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 is really popular. Now, carrying a gun like this is very doable, but where it's going to benefit you is that you invest the money in a good holster. And we're going to take a second to talk about holsters really with this firearm, because that's what's going to dictate making this carryable or not carryable. Holster selection is going to be one of the most important decisions that you have to make. Now, we carry a couple of brands, Crucial Concealment, Black Point, who also makes Sig holsters. There's two material types out there. There's Kydex and leather, which are the two major types. There's also injected polymer. I'm a Kydex fan personally. I think it just feels better, it gets better retention. You also have injected polymer as well. Now, a good holster is going to be rigid so that it retains the firearm well, and you don't have to deal with leather's great, and not dogging you leather guys out there, but as leather gets older, it needs to be replaced. Guys will break in a great leather holster, and when you're dealing with striker fired handguns, the safety to keep the trigger from being depressed while you're not actually shooting the gun is right here. It's got a little lever, and that keeps the trigger from going rearwards, which discharges the firearm. Now, if you have a really worn out leather holster, or you get your shirt caught in your holster and you're trying to put this in without paying attention, it can go bang. That's no different than forgetting to put the safety on this pistol and putting it in a holster that's in a similar shape. So it's not unique to Glocks. So you guys that are out there dogging Glocks because of this, a lot of firearms are built very similarly. So it really boils down to the quality of holster you have. Don't go out and buy a quality pistol and put it in a cheap holster. A holster is going to keep the gun safe while it's on your body and keep you from having an accident, because a cheap holster can deform. You can have issues with it getting into the trigger guard. It can also have issues with you deploying the gun. You've actually got to get this gun outside of a holster and deploy it so that you can use it to defend your life, or if you're training on the range. If you don't have a good holster, then A, your gun's going to fall out of your holster. B, the gun won't come out of your holster easily because it's not built well. So those are two major issues that you're going to have. You also want the holster supposed to protect the firearm while you're wearing it. You should be able to run, do normal activities, walk around, bend over with your holster without it falling out. Be conscious of that as well. In holsters, belts also play a large part. You can't take a floppy belt and put a good Kydex holster on it, because what's going to happen is on your belt line, let's say this is my body, your holster clips are down here. If you have a loose belt, your gun's going to basically fall out like this. And it's going to stay like this, but you're going to be able to see it through your shirt, and it's just not conducive of carrying a gun properly. A stiffer belt is going to keep your gun more rigid, and it's going to keep it straight, making it more concealable. So make sure, guys, when you're going through this process, don't skimp out. You don't have to buy the most expensive stuff, but if you have a local gun dealer that you work with, or you want to call or contact us, we will help you pick the right things if you just give us a little information on what you're looking for. So, a lot of great options. This one happens to have a light on it, right? I mean, different sizes, holster selections. There's a lot to digest with this. Going over a quick overview, right? Micro compact guns, great to carry, super comfortable, will stay basically in and around any clothing situation you want to present it with the right holster and the right way to carry. Manual safety guns, don't forget to train to them. They're great to have, and they're very comforting to people who feel like they really need a safety, I'm not a safety guy. I would rather not have a safety. This is my safety. That's the way I look at this. This doesn't touch this, which means it doesn't go bang or have an accident with it. If you're carrying a really, really inexpensive or cheap firearm, you probably should reconsider that. Carry what you can afford. Better to have a gun than not have a gun. Mid-size guns, bridging the gap between compact and mid-size. This is a great selection, it's a great firearm, and anything like this in size, it's something you can carry pretty easily, and it's gonna give you something to fill your palm up and feel really comfortable shooting it because it's gonna feel full size. If full size is your game, just know that you're gonna have to dress to it. You're gonna have to get proper holsters and proper belts in order to carry a gun this size. You also might have to wear a t-shirt that's a little bigger. I know this one's a little tiny, but if you're gonna get into and you're actually gonna go through and carry a gun that's gonna be full size, you really need to dress appropriately. You don't have to wear a shooting vest. Okay, you don't have to be that guy, but you do have to turn around and be a little bit more conscious of if this is poking out of your shirt. Depends on where you live. Do you really want to be printing? How gray man do you want to be? So be considerate of that. Most of all, learn to carry a gun properly, seek out training, and don't just take your license to carry class. It's going to be a great laws class wherever you are in the country, but if you're going to constitutional carry, seek out some kind of knowledge and training on how to deploy a handgun properly and use it in a defensive situation, as well as how to carry it properly. There are safe ways to carry a gun, and there are unsafe ways to carry a gun. And the internet is full of videos that will show you poor examples of carrying a gun. And the one thing that you want to be is on your headstone, you don't want them to write, well, you know, he was really cool, but he didn't spend good money on a good holster, so he shot himself in the hips and he died. That stuff happens. You don't want that stuff to happen to you. So seek out the right advice, go to the right places and source of information. And ladies, go get with a company that's going to help you find a firearm that suits you, not what your husband or boyfriend thinks you should own. So super important points, guys. Thank y'all for joining us. It's been a lot of fun going through these guns. Remember, these are just a very small sampling of what to look for, but don't pick the wrong carry gun because you'll be out of a bunch of money and you'll regret it. Thanks for joining us. See y'all soon.